Hi, I'm Pieterjan. I'm product marketeer at Sensolus, and welcome to a new episode of Track and Talk. This is our channel where we keep track on how IoT can help you to make all your assets visible, from a small box to a giant container. And today I am joined by Steven.
Hey, hello.
Steven, you're VP Engineering at Sensolus, and last time you were on the show, I asked about your energy drivers, and Padel came up, so I'm curious to hear how's it going with Padel ambitions.
Still, the ambitions are still high, but it's an unfinished project, I would say. I'm still trying to improve it.
Yeah, okay.
Second time is going really well. First time of the evening, we can do better.
Okay,
but working on it.
There's a first half and a second half
Exactly.
where you play Padel.
Exactly.
But I'm glad to hear you're not pro yet, because you had the time to think about a white paper you wrote, and it's about security in IoT. I think it's an important topic here at Sensolus. But before we dive into the topic, why is security in IoT and for Sensolus that important?
Well, it's super important, of course, because the last thing we and our customers want is to end up in the newspaper.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Right? We're tracking sometimes sensitive objects in high security environments.
Yeah.
So for our customers, it is essential that they're sure their data is safe and secure.
In the white paper you wrote, you had three main topics you talk about. First one was secure by design. Second one was platform governance. And the third one was about long-lasting security and how AI can play a role in that. Maybe starting with the first one, secure by design. What do you mean by that?
Well, it actually means, and then I should talk a little bit about our heritage, because we exist for 10 years, and actually our lead customer in volume was Airbus.
Yeah, okay.
And what makes that type of customer interesting is that you need to have the security features first before you do anything else.
Okay.
So in many cases, you could imagine that you slowly grow into adding all the security capabilities. We actually started the other way around. The tracker first had a very secure communication protocol and a way to get these keys on it in the factory, etc., before it did anything useful.
It was not an add-on, it was a basic...
It was the basic foundation layer on which we've built later on.
Yeah, all right. I can imagine being in Europe with hosting and production is also part of the secure by design.
Exactly. There's more and more scrutiny over where you're sourcing your components, where you're producing it, who's in the factory accessing all these items. So we deliver a vertical solution. We design the hardware, we build the platform, and actually our manufacturing, which is in Europe, is directly connected to that platform. So when we build a tracker, it exists first in the platform. We give it an identity, we give it a unique security key. That key gets loaded into the factory. One of the important aspects of security, also part of new legislation, is solutions need to be secure by design and automatically. It should not require an action by the users to say, hey, I enable the security, or I'm going to upload the key. And so if you go with our solution, all these things are done by default. And we can achieve that because we're that vertical player and controlling the whole chain.
What about audits we face? How do we deal with that within Sensolus?
An important aspect, because we could of course say, hey, we're doing great. You need an external validation. So that's why on the platform side and on the mobile app side, we work with external penetration test houses, which do a yearly audit of our system. And so they're basically a team of hackers, which tries both the black box entry, but we also give them credentials. And so they try to get into the system, and they also validate once they are in the system, whether all our security or role partitioning is implemented correctly. And what comes out of that type of audit is typically a report where vulnerabilities are ranked from critical, which means you shall fix it right now, to minor things which are like very unlikely to happen, but if the stars are all aligned correctly. Now our goal is to be clean fully. Right? So we get the report, we work with the team to understand what they found. If they found something, we fix it up. And of course, security is a never-ending story because the threats are evolving, the systems are evolving. So it's an endless cycle which basically repeats, right? We do that year by year. Sometimes we also switch the party. Right, because you could imagine after a while, always the same guys testing you, and you need some variation. So we typically go with the team for a couple of years, and then we switch them around, try a new crew.
Zooming in on the platform governance, I can imagine there's also some things about security we think about.
Exactly. if you look at the platform, you have always, because maybe where does this come up, right? Somebody wants to go with our solution, and then internally they have some kind of security process where our solution needs to get approved, right?
Okay.
And then it starts initially from the basic questions, like how are my users going to get authenticated? Multi-factor everything which these days at home for your personal accounts you also do. There our answer is really simple. We prefer that you use our single sign-on integration so that whatever is your company policy, we just reuse it, right? Because we don't know your users and passwords, right? They're all living on your side. Right. Secondly, we have a very fine security system where you can basically control what every user can do. And that can be both functional, like you can see a tracker, but you cannot change its configuration. Or that can also be the scope of the trackers. You can see tracker 1, but I can see tracker 2. And so we have both these mechanisms to partition who can do what. So that is authentication, authorization. Another aspect is audit trials. In case something happened,
logging, you mean? So the logging.
Exactly, logging. Who has done what? This configuration on this tracker changed. Who did it? What did they do? And when did they do it? And so we provide all these audit logs in order to figure out, in case it's needed, what has happened to that aspect. The third aspect is, of course, the data is all yours as a customer. So it's nobody else can see it. Now sometimes we need, on request of you, access to the data for troubleshooting. Now, there's a level of governance coming in. What are the rules on our side which allow somebody on the support team, or when the issue gets escalated, to the engineering team to look at your data? This can happen, but it's only in the context of an investigation on request of the customer.
Me as a marketing guy wouldn't have the same access as someone from support, which makes, of course, totally sense.
Exactly. There are various levels of support, and because in all things security, the weakest link is typically the person,
the human,
the human factor. That's where you need to control, you need to educate people on a continuous basis, and it's happening on our side. But I can imagine all of our customers are also doing that on their side, right? Because we can protect all we want if you give the keys to the kingdom away to somebody. But that's then again where things like multi-factor authentication come into the picture, right?
No, I get it. And you mentioned that security is a never-ending story, and we do improvements day by day. And you brought a story about US. There was some kind of a thing happening there, and we immediately reacted because
it's good that you bring up this example, because I think I need to clarify a bit first what was the question. So we had a car retailer, which is basically operating multiple warehouses where these cars are stored. They put a tracker in the car to know where the car is located on their lot. The normal process is it gets sold to a customer, we take the tracker away, goes back into the box for the next car we're selling. Looks like a simple case, and we talk to the business owner happy, we deliver the solution, everybody cool. Now, at that moment, legal and compliance comes in at the customer and says, ho, 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 wait a bit here. Imagine we forget to take out the tracker from the car. Then all of a sudden, we are tracking the end customer. We're in the US, which is a litigation environment. And say, this is an unacceptable risk.
So this is again a human error that can be made, and we need to make sure that by design we can solve this.
So their question to us is, okay, what are you going to do with it? Obviously, we said, hey, we can go out, I would say, the easy way and say, hey, we'll mask these points on the cloud, don't worry. But then they came back and said, hey, no, we need a deeper check. It just cannot happen. And that's where our vertical integration comes in. Because what we eventually ended up doing is we changed the firmware on the tracker so that you configure on the tracker itself what is the area in which it's allowed to capture locations. And once it goes outside, it just stopped doing that. And so we implemented the privacy check at the lowest layer. And this is, of course, something which you cannot do if you do not control the whole chain. And it's also a good example of where the value which we want to bring to these business owners is, do not worry, we'll pull the solution through it.
We'll take care of it.
We'll take care of it, and we're willing to go the extra mile to ensure that the whole constellation remains happy.
maybe to finish, some words on how AI plays a role within security, because we do a lot of things with AI. How do we see the combination of the two?
Well, where the evolution of AI in our product is going, and we're showing a bit, we're taking the lid off because it's not yet officially released, so we're trialing it in pockets, but we see a big potential in AI for interpreting data. And basically the platform is bringing a lot of data together. We do a lot of visualizations, but like you and I are using ChatGPT and others, it often does a great job in summarizing it, right? Now, it becomes intriguing when people start to make decisions based on that AI summary, right? And then, of course, we could say the easy way out to say, let's put a little disclaimer, do not trust this thing, it might be wrong, which probably we will need to do as well. But secondly, we evaluate a lot of language models and we train them, provide the right system prompts, so that we can ensure that we can get consistent output every time on which we can build on. And there's a huge variety in language models and how they give these responses. You have models which are really good in staying on topic, and you have models which are really creative, which is maybe more useful in your field, but in our field of tracker analysis data, creative models are not the way to go.
And I can imagine it's also important to make sure that when people get an answer from AI, it's from data they have access to, they're allowed to have access to.
So the data we pass to the model is only data which is allowed between this role-based allocation with your trackers. The other part we do, of course, is there's a big variety in language models and how you, because what's happening is, of course, we move that data transiently to the language model and back, right? The terms of service of every language model are different. And there are models which say, we will use your data to train the model, which is not what we want. And none of our customers want that too. Imagine next year, all of a sudden, you get an answer in a generic question in that model because it got trained on your data.
Yeah, that's not the goal.
And of course, as always, there will be an opt-in. If you say, hey, we're on the super cautious side, you can be sure there will be no AI interaction of your data, but if you want, you can join in. And we see a lot of promise there, of course, right? Just like AI is ending up everywhere.
All right. Interesting talk, Steven. Thanks for your time. By the way, for the people who are watching or listening, there's a white paper available about this topic written by Steven. It's on the website, so go to the Knowledge Hub and you can download it there. Thanks again, Steven, for your time being here.
And thank you.
Maybe we see you next time on the show.
Exactly.
Bye-bye.